I'm Jeffrey.
Roman.
Marina.
Dmitry.
Bone!
Hi, I'm Nick. I'm here with Jeffrey and Roman, who helped me start the team SOTA Cyberdragons robotics team. And today we're here with Marina and Dmitry, who are Roman's parents, and we're going to talk about robotics. Okay, so you two are parents of Roman here. So as a parent, what was your first thought when you heard your son's school had a robotics team?
I thought that he absolutely must go and check it out and join. That was my first thought.
I just thought that that's what schools have, and I figured that, why not? Nothing special.
Okay.
I was surprised to find it in the School of the Arts.
Yeah.
And I, as a new parent, I was looking on the website for information about offerings. And as soon as I saw a robotics team, I thought, goodness, that's a great opportunity.
How did you find out about us?
Exactly, on the website.
On the website?
It was on the website, and I and there was a name of the sponsor, and I contacted the sponsor.
Oh.
I still remember, I think you were meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and every Tuesday morning I would tell Roman, like, you must go.
She made me go.
I made him go.
And then I came in, it was Jeffrey and Janet there, and it was just like, hi guys.
Really?
Yeah.
But Jen...
And then you guys were there. You guys were there already, and it's just like,
Wait, really?
yeah.
So I wasn't talking, I wasn't outgoing, I wasn't just...
No, you guys were just there, and oh hey.
Yeah,
Oh, there's nothing up here.
And then you were working on that like really crappy.
Oh, that
hovercraft
hovercraft.
thing.
Oh, God.
And I was just disgusted.
You came in and you just
I was
built the
disgusted.
product from ground up.
It's like no.
So then what
no,
happened? So you-
starting from scratch.
So I learned about the team, the robotics team, in the School of the Arts from the website, and I thought it was really great opportunity. And out of all the clubs and all the offerings that they had, it was the most interesting one. And I said, to Roman,
The reason I didn't
"You
want
need
to I didn't want to do it is because my experience with clubs was
Yes.
middle school clubs.
I
They're just-
hate calling it a club.
It's
It's much more
Right.
than
terrible.
that.
It's much, definitely much more.
Right, and that's
It's an organization.
it's an
Well,
you
organization.
can't drink water at the same time. It's a rule.
So with
I'd say team.
Robotics.
robotics team. So with your mindset, what advice would you give other parents who don't understand what this robotics team actually is? Like, how would you
How would
get
you
there?
explain it?
How would I explain to other parents what it is?
What do we do?
I think what I did for myself, I think I went online and I looked and I found First Robotics website. And it really, I think, answers a lot of questions that a parent might have about the philosophy, the goals, and I think they're all very admirable.
How'd you find about the website?
How did I find? That's an interesting question. I think I don't know. I don't remember. I probably heard it from someone, and I also have a daughter who is 2 years older, and I'm thinking maybe her school had a team, and I probably was encouraging her. Before I started encouraging Rome. So I don't want to give incorrect information, but probably I was already prepped through the other school that already had a team. And my daughter's team was also extremely new. Probably was their first year. I thought it was going to be a great outlet for my daughter's creativity. And I thought could be a great place for her.
No. Yeah.
I had heard that robotics is something you do. It's kind of a it's one of those things that schools have, and like okay, probably worth doing. However, I think as I got involved and we started looking at this more closely, I realized that I had a not the wrong idea, but a very narrow idea what robotics was. Like, so I thought that, well, it's just, you know, working on some electronic and mechanical things, and you just, you know, make something and it moves around, which is there, but it's a small part. What I'm realizing now is, and maybe that would be the revelation to a lot of parents, is the robotics has been a all-around startup experience. It's like you're running a company. It's not just about, imagine thinking of, you know, Apple as just a, you know, production factory for, you know, there's more things going on, right? So it's team and leadership and kind of business skills and fundraising and just communication, and yes, there's work in the garage or the workshop, and you have to turn out something that works. But I was just amazed that it's this complete all-around thing.
So what made you guys want to get more involved in the team?
Made your choice.
Because it's fun. Because it's not.
Resistance is
It's
futile.
not. It's really great to be around and helping a group of kids who are doing this wonderful thing, which is robotics, entrepreneurship, whatever club or team or I don't know. Did I say club again?
She said club.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Robotics. What is it?
This
Robotics.
is-
The
Team.
team.
Oh, it doesn't matter. They're all interchangeable.
And the question was, what
I
made
thi-
you?
What made
What made
us
you get
want to be more involved? What made us want to be more involved? It's natural. I want to say it's natural. It's not like we were making ourselves go an extra mile. It does start with supporting your own kid, and then it makes you very interested and involved, and then you work for the team's success and whatever needs to be done if you can. I think it's just easy
Oh yeah,
to
so
want to make yourself available.
I
for
can say that, like, not many parents are think like this. So I know a lot of parents where they might not want to get so involved, even though their kid's involved. For example, like, let's say.
So I assume it's some kind of school activity. They don't have to be involved.
Yeah,
Just send them
exactly,
out
yeah,
and then they
pretty
come
much.
home
Let
later
them
in
do
the
their
day.
own thing. Stuff. So,
But it doesn't work that way.
well, sometimes. While we're on this topic, what advice do you guys have for students to get their parents involved? Because usually, for the success of teams like these, parent involvement is very crucial
Right.
when developing, especially at the first steps, like our team.
Food. Yeah.
Yeah. They've tried everything. Food. I think parents definitely need to know what it is that their kids are involved in, what robotics mean, what it means for their kid, and you see, our family was in a situation where I think we, as adults, like I found it and I encouraged my son, right? I just feel not that many high school kids probably coming home and sharing very readily about what they do at school. And the parents may just naturally, they probably would want to be involved, but first of all, they wouldn't even know that their help is needed. They wouldn't even know what the kid is doing during the lunch breaks and after school. So I think information really helps, and if it doesn't come from their own kid, it has to come from the team as a organized
definitely,
body.
like, more communication. With the team and parents.
And I also feel that actually seeing each other in the beginning of the season, or actually in the beginning of the school year, really, really helps. And I know that a lot of parents, what they want for their kids for their kids in high school, is to really make friends, good friends, and have a project that they can conquer with those great friends. And so when parents come out and meet and they see each other, they see other families, they see other kids, they do tend to support more. And they also understand more what's involved and how complicated the whole process is. So they tend to participate as much as they can.
I'd say that in my mind, how you can approach it differently is not think of robotics as just another, like a field trip. You know, kids, and most of the time parents are not really aware of what's going on. So that's just stuff in school, right? So they're busy, they work, or they have stuff at home, and then kids just go and do something, and they come back and they're done. And that's normal. Like, that's what kids do in school. Kids have their kid stuff, and parents have their parent stuff. In this case, if as soon as you realize that this is, it is like a company, like a startup, and it's extremely valuable for the students because they learn. It's more than just going on a field trip or just being part of a club. Right? Then that really changed my view of this, because then I can say, there are things going on here where I might be able to help because it's, some of this stuff is close to what I do at work, maybe. Or maybe this is something that, I wish I could do on the side, and now this is an opportunity, to work with my hands and spend time on kids. It's also just good energy. Like I think parents would be amazed at how, it's like this youth, like the positive energy, because kids are, they're just learning, they're kind of wide-eyed, and then it's it's refreshing. So it's reinvigorating. It's like the fountain of youth. So definitely recommend it to parents to be close to that. I think also having these gatherings where parents are present and they hear these things. They don't look at this as some side activity that their kids are involved in, but it is, hey, it's like what is it like to run an organization? What is it like to learn all these things? And people presented, they talked about this, different parents shared what they how they can contribute. That would be a huge deal, because they're like, oh my god, this is so valuable, this is so interesting.
I also think it's really cool when different parents come together, and it's like a clash between two different worlds. You have your school life connecting with your family life, and it's just like, you ever had that feeling where it's just two worlds colliding?
No.
No? Okay.
No, I don't think robotics is school in any way.
But I understand what Nick is saying, and what's interesting to me is that, and I observed this happening, not only in myself, but also in my peers. Working on this team, also as Dmitry was saying, how it's almost like a company. I wouldn't want to think of it in terms of equity, but students start to take ownership in what they're building. They're building something valuable, both for themselves and for the community around them. So it becomes, as you were saying, something very much so involved in every aspect of your life, because it's grown beyond school. It's grown into something that you are able to share.
Yeah.
It's now you reminded me that in this last season, all these plywood structures had names on them, and you build so it was, people felt, maybe I'm reading too much, but it felt to me it's different than a school project. Like, you just have to do it for
and
grade,
you turn it in,
and
right,
you turn it in, and you're done. And then again, there's some adult somewhere who's looking after you and trying to. I felt very different when kids were here late and they would just focus on finishing their thing, and they had to go through some difficulties, and then they signed their name, and it was done.
Graffitied it.
Yeah.
And so,
what did she write?
I forgot.
Oh no, she wrote Yi.
Oh yeah.
the last name.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
And that felt there's some sense of ownership that you don't typically. School is not about owning a project. You just you do homework and you're done, right? I think this is.
That wasn't required, right? And you wanted to put your name, or you had to
I see.
It's voluntary.
So
I'm
that
not.
was voluntary. Like
And that's the thing.
Usually, you're required to put your name on.
But
your
as an
piece of
adult
work.
present, I wasn't giving instructions.
Right.
That's another thing. I'm not a teacher. I'm just here, kind of watching and
Open
trying to
the
make
door.
sure,
Almost guiding, you
making
know.
sure kids are safe. But then this just came up, and I didn't, somebody came up with it, and that's
Yeah, that's a really good point. And to tie in what you're saying, instead of in a traditional classroom setting where a teacher assigns a project and then gives you a grade, the students are here voluntarily, building something, building a product in a sense, and they themselves want to improve this. They want to get better, and they gain from it. So it's a very rewarding experience.
It also makes you feel like you're actually much more adult-like, because you're a high school kid and you're doing something beyond what other high school kids do, or at least what they're portrayed to do, like stereotypes. And oh my gosh, I'm making money. I'm making thousands of dollars. I am building this huge robot, and nobody else does this as a high school kid, at least.
I think I overheard some adults when they were watching you build and the whole process. I think I overheard someone saying that even in their adult world, they don't see such a level of.
Wait, really? Was this during build season? Or?
Like
I
during
can't
season.
remember, but I know that I've heard similar references from adults. And there was another one, I think, coming from one of the fathers who I think owns the company. He was looking at the level, at how you are communicating, at what level, and really commented that some of his, adult employees don't have such sophistication in terms of communication and organization. So there was some spreadsheets
meetings.
and Slack, and so the level of. So I really heard compliments in that way, that the high school kids are doing things that some adults or many adults actually are not ready to do at work.
So
For which they earn money, right? And,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to know what they're doing.
Okay. So this question is directed towards parents who have kids that are already in the team. So as you go through a robotics team and you invest more and more time, it starts to get it starts to consume your time a little too much, and things get in the way, and you don't do homework. So
Parents don't have homework.
you don't have homework. What?
No, parents don't have homework.
Oh, parents don't have. No, I'm saying kids have homework.
So you see your kids spending too much time on it,
Oh.
and you may.
So if
Hey,
Yeah.
Okay, wait,
They're
let's-
concerned that kids are getting consumed by
Yeah,
it.
so
okay.
as a parent, do you agree or disagree that kids should participate in clubs or organizations with the argument that it takes up too much time?
With the risk.
With the risk.
With the risk
yes.
of, I absolutely agree that the room needs to be made for valuable experiences like robotics, and not just robotics. I know that there are other organizations and clubs that are extremely valuable in kids' experience, high school experience. And I feel that the schools have to be flexible and open to this. I mean, I'm not saying that they should just excuse all the homework and allow for unpredictable schedules, but with organization, with advanced notices, with
The school should be making an effort.
the school should make an effort to accommodate that in a very formal and open and straightforward way, and especially the School of the Arts, where I think this school in particular, I think, should be understanding different commitments and how, let's say, in 1 month this kid will be involved, like certain kids will be involved in the performances and they won't have time for regular homeworks, and then another month they can be totally dedicated to the schoolwork. And I do value what the kids are getting, being part of working on robotics throughout the year. And so I think the schools have to greet it then with open arms. Really, that's my feeling.
I would say it goes back to maybe the wrong perception of what robotics is about. Because if it's some kind of a club, you go and make things late into the night, and then of course your parents could say, "Look, why do you need all the soldering or drilling? You don't know what you're gonna do. Okay, that's fine, but you can't be doing this weeks and weeks and weeks, and it's a hobby." If you change from that view to a view where robotics it's a mix of entrepreneurship and teamwork, then if you think about, well, it's a project on the deadline, right? So you need to organize it, you need to be part of some kind of an inception process. You need to communicate, there's email, there's writing, there's calendar. Of course, part of it is people who work on the physical robot. Not everybody does, so somebody will learn what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Others, and others. So all those things are amazing skills that you can almost say this is, if you in college, if you took a bunch of courses, only then would you learn these things. So in that sense, if it's done right, if it's not just a couple of kids who just spent all nights in the garage and and they don't sleep and they're doing the homework, then of course that's a problem. But if it's kind of well run and done and is organized, then I would say it's a worthwhile. It's worth setting aside time for this.
I also wanted to share what I add, that some schools recognize importance of robotics, competition, and just all the activities that come with it.
Some high schools or college?
Some high schools.
Okay.
No, they do recognize it, and they're trying to accommodate it in a way so they make it part of a class or a formal course work, and they usually want to tie it with computer science. So I've heard about that being done. So that's where the school wants to make it part of something bigger and also give it time and space and flexibility.
Actually,
to do 6 months of build season.
And actually, also to add on to their answer, I think it's all the more important that students get this out of classroom opportunity, because what you learn in the traditional classroom setting is, to a great extent, theory. And what you're getting to do in this robotics setting is the application of it. And so one may argue that, studying the theory, you use a different part of the brain. And when you're applying your knowledge, you're using another part of the brain, because the application itself is a very creative process, whereas the theory, it's more binary. So if there's a concern that there's not enough time, say after school to accomplish both this, hands-on building experience and doing your homework, I would argue the opposite, because it's called active resting. You're using different parts of your brain at different times. So while you are doing your homework, your application part of your brain might get a rest, and when you go into your application, your theory part might get a rest. And so when you're actually maximizing, the effect of, or you're maximizing your time, and you're getting the greatest result out of it.
But
Okay.
and I also want to add that the way, at least First Robotics is structured, so the time, huge time commitment, they want to keep it within certain limits.
Right.
I mean, it's understandable that a lot of teams work throughout the year, but the big push has a start point and an end point, which is great. And I think this
But
is
that's
something
also
that the
makes
parents
it
can
so
work
much more
with.
intense, because
It
when the
makes
deadline's
sense.
coming up, you have that
Right, but
exponential increase of time you
and
take away from
this
the
is
stream.
true,
That's
but
true.
I think for parents, for adults who are looking at it from the outside, it's a selling point that yes, your kid is going to be
There's a
expected to
stop,
be
yeah,
involved, but it's only 6 weeks, and so there is an end to
But
that.
think
But
of this
not-
this season. Think of this season how good it was to just be done with it. 11:59. Yes, it was late at night, but then you pack it up and you move on to other things. And it's not sometimes in a commercial setting in a company. If there aren't deadlines, then people just there's never a stop. You always continue working on it, and it can be exhausting. So in this case, I like that you point that.
So you can't completely burn out.
Yeah, you could burn out even in those 6 weeks, and that needs to be managed. And I think another important aspect of this is if parents participate, then they have more control. They see what's going on, and also if there's not a lot of mentors, then in the worst case scenario, kids are by themselves. They don't know. They're just spending hours and hours and days,
Right.
and it's not useful. So that's possible, and that's why it's certainly better if there are wise adults there who could provide some advice, who can mentor, who can make sure that these hours that are being spent effectively, and that's where it comes back to why parents should get involved. If they're concerned, it's not like just kids disappear for hours and they come back late in the evening and their homework is not done. They can be part of this and they can see what's going on.
I actually, when I looked at Roman's notes, and he has this notebook with drawings and where he was calculating the angles and
The velocity.
cosine. Yeah, I just thought, I honestly thought that he could just take this workbook and bring it to his
For credit.
To his calculus teacher for credit, because that's where it was, the application of whatever he was learning at school. And if I were a calculus teacher, I would take that for credit. Absolutely.
You should try it.
Yeah, I was encouraging him to do that, and I think that would have been
Go
very
take
fair.
physics in City College and just do that.
Oh,
Just pass that class.
fast. That's
Take
fine.
the next one. Here, I'm good.
Yeah.
So I know with you and me, the question rises up as, let's say, Roman's a junior right now. So when he becomes a senior, and then he gets into college and applying all that, the question rises up.
Who's gonna take the reins?
No. Not who to. Why are you doing this? The parents would ask, why are you doing this? You're already a senior. You already applied to colleges.
I don't
And
think.
that,
So it only
But that's
yes, I can
his-
see that perspective.
Only
That,
if you're doing it for whatever.
Yeah,
resume
if you
and
need a
for
check
your
box.
application.
but if you and that's where to me robotics is, at least from what I've seen, is so not a checkbox.
It's beyond them.
It's I learned so much, just being around you guys, right?
And
you're a parent.
And those people who were doing it for a check box or for an entry in the resume, so they usually leave pretty soon.
Or
Because the-
make them leave. No.
Well, you never know. People may think that they need a checkbox, and then they get it's like, oh, this is interesting. So
they can-
I would
that's
not.
how-
It's not as if there's some people who are just these they just use this as a as a chance to get something on their
College
college
application,
application.
Resume.
But so what if they if they're actively participating, they may in fact learn.
You can really clearly see the people who are just in it for the checkers. Looking at you. Yeah, you can. It's really obvious people who aren't.
Even then, Roman,
But
I'm
even then,
saying you
yes.
don't know.
Maybe
It
later
could
on
be.
they'll be drawn to this.
They'll
Who
discover
knows?
something and they'll be forever grateful that they got involved, and others will find something else.
And this ties again back into the idea of ownership. Some people, could go ahead and just write it down on the resume as just another filler, but as we have seen, all these students begin to feel like this is a creation of their own, so they won't readily abandon it. And even if it gets tough, I think those tough moments are also what makes this team stronger. They're a great bonding moment, and ultimately it makes the students who go through it come out stronger.
Yeah, I definitely agree, but I think it's more of like a parent who doesn't understand would ask that question. especially if they're not involved.
Then if life stops when you enter college, but it does not, and if this were some sort of an SAT test, like why would you study for SAT? I would say, yeah, that makes no sense. Why are you wasting time that you already passed it?
Yeah.
Robotics is not an SAT test. It's something that you can keep doing, and then you get into college, you can mentor teams.
You still get value.
You build your network, you connect with people. If you're more into mechanical engineering or in software, then you continue working on projects that will benefit you as you progress and as you go out and work in the real world or start a company. If it's about team leadership and entrepreneurship, all of those skills, it's again, imagine that you're just pulling the rug from under somebody and say, well, you go to college, all these things are gone. No, I think that's you can keep gaining skills, meeting people, helping your team, and it all builds up. So when you're out of in 4 years, when you're out of college, you have all that in your back pocket as another set of skills.
I have another thought. A lot of parents don't question whether or not to support the sports team. So in a way, robotics experience is similar to experience of supporting the sports team.
What do you guys think is the most rewarding feeling you receive after being fully committed to the team as parents?
You go.
I'm not a parent.
That's okay, but you can talk.
Or as
It's when the robot caught the thing, the pull-up bar, and just
It scaled the wall.
and it was just like, it was awesome. And then we found out that we did everything wrong and went to redo it completely.
The first design.
You proved that
Yeah.
you could do it.
I think it's an easy. There's a bunch of moments in the competition where it got it, like the thing worked, and it caught the bar. And in one episode, we sprayed
You
it.
should put a link to the video.
We sprayed it with so much lubricant, WD-40, that when the arm opened up on the field, you just saw the spray of these, the sprinkles of the lubricant, and it caught the bar and it lifted itself up. That was exhilarating.
Yeah.
However, now I think back to me, the thing that is probably like, a step above that is seeing, I don't want to single anybody out, like Natalie, just members of the team working away on cutting this plywood and putting things together and putting their name on it late into the evening, and just finishing things. And where I come back and I realize I didn't really do anything as an adult because I came from work, I did something else, and then stuff just appeared. And so it's just a sense that kids could self-organize, and they finished things, they did what was required kind of on their own with very little guidance, was probably even more rewarding than the fact that some piece of metal worked the right way.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to remember for a long time. So one is when a lot of you kind of were working here, and kids came from school with their instruments and portfolios. So I had what did I have? I like tons of instruments. I think I made
a cello.
I had a cello. We had trumpets. We had flute. At least one flute. We had Natalie's portfolio sitting on the washing machine. And just like backpacks, and that was amazing. And I also heard the sound of power tools and the girls walking and carrying heavy, I don't know, like 2x2s,
2x4s, yeah.
2x4s, 2x2s, and it's really wonderful. So was it a highlight? I don't know, but that's something that a memory that I want to keep. So I like the whole process. I think it's about the process.
For parents who, both for those who run a team at work and manage a team, or those who do maybe they do something different and they never manage the team. It's the fact that like I as an adult, I don't have to do this suddenly, just magically, kids organized and because let's say if you work on a project with a kid, in primary school somewhere, you kind of have to put a lot of time into it because the kids are still figuring things out. So you do a lot of the work, and maybe that, I don't know what my expectations were, but I'm just, that was the surprise and the satisfying part of, well, I can kind of help here and there, but even if I step away, the magic continues, right? The thing just gets done, and that's a wonderful thing. I would encourage every parent to experience the sense of a crew, just getting something done, even if all they do is, help drive kids to the workshop or, bring some food or just support it, provide moral support.
Yeah, by the way, when moms come pick their kids up and see what's going on, they're extremely excited. And next thing you know, they'll send in extra food. And so they want to be involved. They see how they can be involved in many different ways. So they don't necessarily have to know how to build a robot themselves, but they can be very, very supportive. And you do see a lot of happy parents when they see the process. So
this reminds me, it's amazing how many parents work on things that are directly related to robotics. So we had dad who works in the CNC machine shop, and it's like, oh wow, so we
They helped us make this.
We had to make a metal part that would be very different. We couldn't have done it.
Well, how much would it cost? Like
at least.
Well, I would say that ordering that part was out of the question. I don't think we would.
Yeah,
we would not have even tried that. So having somebody who was able to support us, then it's people who run design firms, people who do photography. It's you don't even realize how much is out there available. And I would say, first of all, when you bring parents together, people find out who does what, and they suddenly realize how helpful parents could be. And somebody runs an auto repair shop. Somebody works again in a place that can make things, or and then I'm sure that those parents would love to see, people like giving advice, people like having, people like kind of directing others, and that's an opportunity where suddenly you can have your kind of creative
domain of knowledge.
It's like, hey, I can guide, I can teach these kids how to do this and that.
There's actually one very gracious parent who, it was so great to have him come in. They were actually doing, they were working within the field is having to do with
R&D?
The other one. They worked with actually, I think almost in a sense of sort of venture capitalists, but they worked with a lot of and a wide array of robotic startups, so they brought specific domain expertise, and they came in and actually did brown bags on what they did at work, and they gave us their product management training, which was really, really nice. You can't get that elsewhere.
So parents, imagine this audience that is just eating up what you have to say. So share your wisdom. Right? I think that's a great way to, and I think it makes people feel great that they can share some of their knowledge and their expertise.
And I also want to add the videos that you made during the build season.
Yeah.
They were amazing, and it was something tangible that you could show. And the response was always, oh my God, it's so great. And again, so I also want to add, so it's not about the result. I know that for the team, they want to win, but I think for the whole community, like parent community, it's really the process that matters the most.
Totally agree.
What about you, Jeffrey?
Oh no, like my thoughts on that. Think of it this way: if the next day, say you were just at the end of the season, and then it just you didn't have to go through any of that, and they just gave you all the awards. You know, it would seem really hollow. Didn't really put any effort into it. So, in fact, it's really the journey itself that is, you know, full of value.
Yeah.
That you can't find any other way to describe it.
Well, for me, I think the most rewarding thing was so early on when after we created the team, it was like attendance was like what's the word? A privilege, or kind of. No, it was like a gift, really. If you had high attendance that day, wow, you were lucky. If you had nobody showing up, then okay, it's just normal. But as we got deeper and deeper into the year, we had build season, we had a robot, we had something to show, and then it's like attendance became more like mandatory instead of.
I think that meant like it was a norm.
Yeah, it's more like a norm. Instead, like every day, I go into the shop and I expect to see at least one person there. Instead of, oh, there's one person there. Good. It was more, wow, this is what I created. Oh my gosh, like, imagine what.
It sounds like you plant a garden. And if something survives, you're happy to see that.
Yeah.
But once it matures, you expect, well, there's trees here and things are there, and you know that you have something to come to always, right?
Mm.
There's always somebody working on something. Yeah.
That's all for today. If you like this video, click the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment below if you have a question yourself.